mentioned either. So, but generally, traditionally, after a few minutes, that could have been.
10-15 minutes after.
That is our guesswork, but in that particular tradition it is not mentioned.
But this is the only reason.
Why we prefer?
Yeah.
That is still preference.
Yes.
As far as technical edict is concerned, based on this tradition as well, we can say that Maghrib time does extend beyond the red part, because there was an awwal waqt and there was a later waqt as well, according to this tradition. Yes, Bhatt Sahib?
Is there any tradition that Holy Prophet has offered 4 or 5 prayers at one time?
During Jang-e Azab, that is Azab, one day it so happened that the Muslims were so busy defending themselves from dawn till dusk, even till the time of Isha, that they had to say all the prayers together behind Muhammad at the Isha time.
If the question is the witr of the part of Isha prayer, and why will you say witr with the Tahajjud in our Jamaat?
Yes, it is because, I think I have explained it earlier as well. In Islam, everything, or I should say at least most things, that is to be on the safe side, lest I make it too categorical a statement. To my knowledge, most of the injunctions regarding prayer are based on the principle of odd numbers. And Hadhrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has himself explained that Allah is odd, so He loves odd. Instead of even number, He loves odd. Now that should not be extended for too much, because in the Holy Quran it is mentioned that from Allah has created everything in doubles, Zawjain. So if that tradition is carried beyond the application for which it is meant, then we will be led into trouble and problems. If Allah allows everything in the sense of material things and the design of things to be odd, why should He have created everything in even numbers instead of odd? So, that is just loud thinking which I am making. To your question, I'll address now. As far as the faraiz, that is the obligatory prayers, are concerned, positively, the sum total of all the rakat is odd, not even. Because except for Maghrib, all the rest of the obligatory prayers are even. But with the addition of one extra Maghrib rakat, the whole of the obligatory prayers become odd in number. Add up everything, and the third rakat of Maghrib makes it odd. So there should also be the same treatment to non-obligatory, that is optional prayers, nawafil. And witr does the same to nawafil as Maghrib does to the obligatory prayers. So it should be said at the end of nawafil of that day. Because according to the prayer system, the 24 hours end in the beginning of the morning. So if you are saying nawafil at tahajjud time, you should say witr at the end to make all the nawafil, that is the optional prayers, to turn all the optional prayers into witr, that is odd number. So there are two parallel systems running in our prayers, one obligatory and one optional. For the obligatory, Maghrib makes them witr, and for the optional, morning witr is known as witr, makes them witr.
Sometimes we say two cards in the witr and one separately. Why
That is preferred. That is how we should do normally. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. واسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون. Who are أهل الذكر?
First of all, this is not a verse of the Holy Quran. You have quoted it as if it is a verse of the Holy Quran. Wasalu? Fasalu? Ala dhikr. I thought he said ala fikr. That's right, yes. That's right, yes. Fasalu ala dhikr. Ala dhikr here in this verse which you have in mind refers to that whole context is regarding Ahle Kitab and the earlier books. And Ahle Kitab are mentioned particularly in this context. And they argue about many things with the Holy Prophet of Islam. And they themselves don't know what their books have said. So here Ahlul Zikr, the place in which this verse is mentioned, here Ahlul Zikr are referred to as the Huffaz of Bible. For not Huffaz, there were no Huffaz of Bible. Those who were well learned in biblical studies, scholarly in biblical studies, who knew what Allah had said earlier. So here zikr is not mentioned particularly with reference to the earlier books. But broadly speaking, the word zikr applies the memory of God, applies to the memory of God generally, in every sense. So if that connotation is kept in mind, in that case the reference would be to those people who really love Allah and think about Him continuously. They are the righteous people who can lead you right. Only those ulama who are technical ulama, they are not sufficient. If you ask them, they may mislead you. But among them, there would be some who are our zikr. That is, they remember Allah and they love Allah so much that as if they are lost in His memory. So if you ask them such questions, their answer will always be the right answer and it will lead you to the right path.
Excuse me, couldn't we answer it also in a way that فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ, classical meaning of this verse in our days is to ask أهل الخبرة والإختصاص, the skilled people in between us, everybody in his trade.
As far as I remember the context of this verse, I have answered you. That context is a special context in which the address is to the Ahle Kitab Mu'anidin, those hostile people from Ahle Kitab who came and argued about this and that. So because they are particularly addressed, if similar situation happens today, this verse would also apply to such situations. As far as the historical reference is concerned, it is the one which I have just mentioned. But as far as the future application of this verse is concerned, it would apply always to the similar situations. For instance, if ordinary people, whether they are Arabs or non-Arabs, who do not know the Holy Quran, come and argue about Ahmadiyyat and you quote some verses of the Holy Quran and they say, no, there is no such thing. You can always tell them in the same, tone that you don't know, go and ask your ulama, and this is exactly what happens every day. During many discussions with Ahmadis, situations do arise where non-Ahmadis, not knowing the Holy Quran, say no, we don't believe in this, or not knowing the tradition, they say no, this can't happen. And they are told and reminded to go to the scholarly people who know the Holy Quran, who know the traditions, and ask them. And secondly, as I have said, Ahl-Zikr can be extended in the broader sense